The last operation is division. So in section 5.2, we're going to be learning how to divide with decimals. And again, very similar to dividing with whole numbers. We're going to set it up with long division and go through it. We just need to make sure we know where to put our decimals. So that's the only thing that's different when we're dividing with decimals, except for this last problem. When we get to this, there's a little step that we need to make sure that we take when we get to this problem. All right, so looking at our first two problems, we want to make sure that we know, the different pieces. We have 0.27 divided by 3. So this is our dividend, this is our divisor. So when we set it up in long division format, we know that the divisor goes on the outside and the dividend goes underneath that long division symbol. So as long as our divisor is a whole number, we're good. We can just do regular division. The only thing we need to do is wherever this decimal is at, just bring it up. So wherever it's at down here is where it's going to be at for your quotient or your answer. So 3 goes into 27 9 times, okay? But we need to know where to put that 9, okay? So if we do long division, 3 goes into 2 0 times. 3 does not go into 2 at all. So 0 times 3 is 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. Bring down our 7. We have 27. 3 goes into 27 9 times. So with decimals, you just have to beware that 3, it's not 3 times 9, it's 3 times 0.09. That's going to get you 0.27. So set it up with your long division and work through each of those numbers. The other way that you can do this, if I were to just erase this real quick, we know we lined up our decimal and we know that we're going into the whole 27. So if you're going into the whole 27, you put your quotient over the last number that you went into. So 3 goes into 27 9 times, and we put it above the 7 because that's the last number that we went into. Now, because the decimal's right here and the 9 is over here, we need to fill in that place value. So there's a couple different ways you can look at it. But I feel like dividing is probably the trickiest operation to perform with decimals because there's a few things that you have to remember with that decimal place. So let's do that again. With our next problem, we have 16.99 divided by 9. So our second number is our divisor. So set it up for long division. 9 goes into 16 how many times? 1 time. 16 minus 9 is 7. Bring down the 9. So now we have a 79. This decimal's right here, so we need to make sure that it comes up right where it is. It's going to stay in line with where it is at our dividend. 9 goes into 79 how many times? 8 times. 8 times 9 is 72. 9 minus 2 is 7. Bring down our 9. 9 goes into 79 again. How many times? 8. So 8 times 9 is 72. And we can see it's just going to keep going on forever and ever. So then for these, if you wanted to, you could add zeros and keep bringing them down. But if I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at that instead of putting a 0 there. And you can just put remainder of 7 or 7/9 or however you want to do that. But again, this is just demonstrating again how to set these up into long division and making sure you know where your decimal goes in your answer. So this last problem I said was going to be a little bit trickier, and it's not because this is a negative. So in chapter 3, we already learned our properties of integers. A positive number divided by a negative number will equal a negative number. So we already know that our quotient or our answer will be negative. We already know that. So how do we perform the operation? How do we get our answer? We already know that it's going to be negative. Well, we're going to set it up the same way we do here. This is our divisor. So we're going to have a negative 0.5 on the outside, and then a 1.25 on the inside. What we don't want is a divisor that has a decimal in it. So what do we do? Because this is a 0.5. Well, we are going to take this and just move it over 1. And again, with like our properties of equality in algebra, whatever you do on the outside, you're going to do on the inside. So if you're moving the decimal over 1 on the outside, you're going to take this decimal and move it over 1 on the inside. So that's the only thing that you need to remember with dividing. Make sure that that divisor does not have a decimal in it. We don't want decimals in our divisors. So I'm going to take this and move it over. So our new setup is just going to be a -5, and it's going into a 12.5 now. So we moved this decimal over 1, and now that we moved it over, we can go ahead and bring that up. So 5 goes into 12 2 times, and 12 minus 10 is 2. Bring down our 5. 5 goes into 25 5 times, evenly, so there's not going to be anything left over. And we know that our answer is going to be negative because a positive divided by a negative equals a negative. So our answer is going to be this -2.5. So again, we just want to make sure that we're using long division, our divisors don't have decimals, and then just use the same properties of integers and whole numbers whenever we're dividing.